think we got prison coach right here and everything on the line. Hey, Mr. John Doc Fuller, what you got for us, homie?
What's up, Superfly? You good?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Listen, man. Look, we got prison coaches right here. Let's give them a round of applause here. Let's give them a round of applause.
I better hit that button again.
Doc, what's up, man? Anything? Hey, prison coaches, talk about it, man. I mean, what's going on? You teaching people how to handle themselves going into jail, huh?
Yeah, man, staying busy, man. New York by day, man. Got my day joint and got the prison coach part-time, but it's becoming too full-time for the kid, man.
Wow. That many people going to jail?
It's a business, man. People don't realize, prison is a business. And so, the younger you are, the more prone you are to think that, there are no consequences for your behavior. Over the period of time as you become older, if you've never had yourself checked by an older person, those same behavioral patterns spill over as an adult. And the older you are, the harder to change, and there are consequences for everybody's actions. And so, for the most part, the younger people that we have, we volunteer and we go out and speak to them. Had a very long day with Dr. Jennings today, man. We went out to Brooklyn. We were over in Prospect Heights. We had a very interesting time out there with some of the young kids out there, man. And it's sad. Oh, before I start, Steve apologizes, man. Steve had back surgery last week. So my man Steve is out of commission, man. Dr. Jennings and I, we did the Deuce into Brooklyn. We had a good time. But the interesting thing, man, the age groups today were from 15 to 17, and every single one in there, it was a crime of violence.
Wow.
It was a gun or a knife or a physical altercation.
Wow.
It was sad, man. It's sad.
And why do you think? What do you think that's from? Like, what do you think the whole the violence is coming from with that young age group?
I think it's a variety of things. First and foremost, I think that my generation pretty much failed the generation under us. The generation above me kept certain things shielded from us. When you think about pornography, guns, drugs, things of that nature, those things were kept from it. It wasn't commercialized. Music was a lot different. And so with the younger ones growing up, listening to music that degrades the women, they become desensitized when it comes to dealing with women. And when children become desensitized to violence, they don't identify consequences for their actions. And when you put on a whole, my generation that failed that generation, our children, most of them, grew up calling their grandma mom. And a lot of them, their mothers by the first name, if their mothers were on the scene. Now, you may say, well, I come from the suburbs, and you may come from the suburbs, but keep in mind that your children were heavily influenced by the children who are the children of the crack epidemic. Children born between, say, 1982 onward, a lot of them are the children of the hustlers that sold cocaine and pushed crack during that time. And so these children have a lot of resentment, a lot of frustration. A lot of their mothers were addicted to drugs. Some of their mothers passed. Some of their fathers were incarcerated. Some of their fathers and mothers were murdered. And so there's a lot of resentment. A lot of those children miss their mother. They miss their father. And so there's a lot of frustration, and, they become desensitized. And, the sad part about it is that the women are just as desensitized as the men are. And so the younger women that I'm encountering out there on the speaking circuit, they're extremely desensitized when it comes to men. Like the stuff that they wear, the music they listen to, how guys treat them, it's almost as expected. And so they come to accept that an abusive relationship is a normal relationship. You know, so, I mean, that's my opinion of where it comes from. But
I hear you. For sure. I agree with you. I think that it comes from that. I think that it comes from, like you said, it's the music. It's the video games. It's the movies. It's all of those things. You know what I mean? I think, yeah, the young kids, the younger generation, they look at and they listen to that stuff, and you know what I'm saying. And it's cool. I listen to it and I look at it too. I don't play the games, but a lot of these things, like the games itself, they put you in third person, and you know, in first person and second person and all of that, and you know, like the second and third person, they stand and they watch off from the side, so you get a chance to, you know, control the person who you're watching, make the movements or whatever. But the first person, they think it looks almost as if you're holding a gun yourself. So when you're playing certain games, it's like you're walking into a situation. So in a game, if you got, you know, a situation where, you know, you got your gun and you're shooting 5 people in a room or whatever, and whether that means that's the end of your game or not, you know what I'm saying? When you come across a situation that you're upset in and you got the gun that you ordered online or something, and it came to your house, to your mother's house while you stayed home from school that day, and your mother got on your nerves the next day, you might go in that room and shoot her and your 5 siblings up, or whatever like that, just to keep the game.
Absolutely, because now, you know, the remote controls vibrate, you know, so it gives you that feel like you really busting the 9. And I'll be darned if you don't go out there and bust off the 9.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
So it's going to happen, you know.
Yeah. So they came out. They coming out with just to touch upon a game situation, not to deviate away from our topic, but they got a game. They got a controller that's coming out now. You don't have a controller that you put in your hand anymore. It's a band that goes around your wrist, around your forearm, and you just hold your hand like you're holding a gun, and it'll give you the same vibration and everything, and the same movements that, you know, a gun would. So that's going to be coming out in video games as well. Yeah. So as a backdrop, you know, Doc, tell me, where did prison coaches start from? Like, what started prison coaches?
Well, actually, my man Steve started the company Prison Coach back when the Enron scandal was going on. He was training a client, and the client had someone who was going into prison. And Steve spoke to that person and thought about it from a business concept. So he formulated the company. When I came home from prison in 2002, shortly after that I started working in family services in New York City as a family services counselor. And all of my clientele were children who were, or really the Fatherhood Initiative program, in which were non-custodial fathers, and some of them were out on bail, and they were heading back to prison, or men who were coming home from prison. And so I had an opportunity to share with them, you know, what their experiences would be like had, you know, if they were going in, and what they were facing and the struggles they would have, if, you know, once they were coming home. And with that being said, I started to think about it in a concept of a business, but didn't push it. Then I got a call from my man, Radim Ellington, and he was like, yo, man, you know what? I think we should consider doing, you know, being a prison consultant. I was like, yeah? He said, yeah. And it struck me as something natural because that's done in the black communities most of the time. It's almost a predisposition for you to head to prison. You know what I'm saying? And so I ran with it and started seeing who was in the industry. And I liked what Steve had going because Steve, out of everyone who was involved in it, Steve was big on giving back. You know, Steve was always out there working with homeless shelters, doing things for the elderlies and elderly people. And I really enjoyed that about Steve. And we hit it off. He's like, it's like a brother to me, man. And so we're always on the phone grinding, thinking of different ways to establish ourselves, because now you have attorneys who are coming home from prison. You have people who may have did 15, 20, 30 years, some guys 15 years. Everybody wants to come home now and just be a prison consultant. And because I've been there, it's the thing to do. And so it's a common thing, but they may not have the people skills. You know, they're missing a lot. They have the time under their belt, but just because you have the time under your belt doesn't mean that you're going to be an effective consultant. And so some people, you know, they come home, they see, well, I can make $200 an hour to $400 an hour and in doing this business, and they never get off the ground doing it. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with marketing. I think that they just don't understand the dynamics of dealing with people. I don't think that particularly a lot of people from the African American community, I don't think that they've dealt with multicultural people. You know,
definitely.
It's a multicultural community.
Definitely, and just to lend to that, when you're in prison, you're in there. It's not a grounds where you feel like you can actually trust everybody who you come across. So if you don't really have that type of, if you have that type of understanding in your head that, nobody can be trusted and you don't want to talk to nobody and, you're an individual, amongst 2,500 other inmates in there, and you don't want to deal with anybody, then it's going to be a hard thing for you, coming out and being able to talk to everybody. You know what I mean? And that's just the plight of a lot of people, or most inmates when they go to prison. And I'll speak directly as far as you go. I will say that while, we were in prison because we spent time together and everything behind bars throughout the course of both our 10-year sentences, I remember, that you were cool with everybody. It didn't matter what, prison's a geographical structure. Whereas, like, first it's racially divided, then it's geographically divided, and then it's, it just gets divided all the way down. Is religiously divided, and so it's like, but you would, I can't say that you were cool with everybody. You spoke to everybody, and you gelled with everybody. So I would definitely say that I can pretty much guess that it's been an easy transition for you to go from prison to coming out and being a prison consultant and speaking to people of different, nationalities, races, backgrounds, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was relatively easy for me. I mean, I come from a small town on the Jersey Shore, Keyport, man, and, there's not another place that I would rather had come up in. My friends, white, black, Puerto Rican, it's like, I still love, like, my whole class. Like, we had our reunion a couple months ago, and my class was the bomb. And so I never flew no flags growing up. And when I went out in life, I had friends of all cultures. Going into prison, it wasn't a shock to me. Of course, quite naturally, when you go into prison, you don't naturally run to other races because that's just not the norm. You pretty much your own race. You can speak to everybody, but you don't eat with everybody, and pretty much you don't trust anyone. You know what I'm saying? And so even the transition coming back home, I had no problem finding my groove again. I mean, I dealt with lawyers, doctors, college professors when I was hustling. And so coming back home, fitting into that crowd was nothing for me either. And it was never anything, for Steve either. Steve is pretty much colorblind. Steve is like so hood. He's like the blackest white guy you'll ever meet. And Steve is so ghetto. But I mean, he speaks Hebrew, he speaks French, and he's a sharp guy, and so he doesn't, he keeps it hood. That's why you'll rarely see Steve might not even own a suit. That's my man. But Steve is coming in sweat with the baseball hat flipped back. It's not a thing for him. He's straight living. So we hit it off, man.
Definitely. Hey, I'm gonna go to that song and now we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk some more to John Doc Fuller from Prison Coaches. All right, and this is Russell Rager Romance Show and friends. We got Jay Hines and everything with us too. Just gave us the wellness report. We'll be right back. All right. This is Akon, Locked Up. What better?
Drop it on the one.
That was Akon. We're Locked Up, and that was Styles P who's with him on Locked Up. Yo, this is Russell Rager Romance Friend Show. You are my friend. You are my co-host, and I'm glad you made it again tonight. Tonight we got one half of the Prison Coaches, John Doc Fuller, and we got Jay Hines and Nathan joining us with the Wellness Report that he's given to us a little bit earlier. Akon was locked up. I don't know if Akon needed prison coaches, but I think that Lil Wayne needed prison coaches. I keep coming back to Lil Wayne because I think Lil Wayne got a problem, man. And this time is not his fault. I got to be straight up. Donald Trump's Twitter account was hacked, and somebody said that they were Lil Wayne, and they were writing all types of crazy things, and Donald Trump didn't like it, and he said all types of choice words. He's going to let it fly or whatever have you. But hey, J. Doc Fuller.
Yo, what up, little man?
Hey, I want to ask you something, man.
What's up?
You handle celebrities? You got any celebrity clients?
Absolutely.
All right. How do they act? How do they act when they get caught up in things? Are they like are they accepting of the advice that you give them? Or are they a little bit tougher because they think like they really it's not for them, or whatever, and they just like
they're humble because at the end of the day, you're not going to spend money on anybody, and then turn around and waste your time. And I'm really not into doing favors for anybody unless they're, unfortunate. I don't mind giving back to the kids and some adults. I mean, I may have a Vietnam vet, somebody who may be facing time in prison, and maybe they suffer from post-traumatic stress or something like that, and they honestly can't afford our services, and they're not aware of the services that are available to them by the government. So I'll reach out to them. But other celebrities, they're not into wasting their money. I'm not into wasting my time. So it's not like I found and take everybody who rings the phone. I have better stuff to do with my time. They can take their money and deal with one of these other clowns in the game, but that's not my get down. Or Steve's get down, for that matter. So they come because it's out of necessity.
Well, let me think of a celebrity who would somebody like you got a Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan, she's always in trouble, and she's a woman. And I was really gonna get to that. I want to know how do you guys handle like a woman client? Like how do you get her prepared?
Well, first of all, somebody like Lindsay, one of her problems was that she can't stay sober, and a lot of times you have celebrities that they stay high because they're really escaping reality. It's just like a young person who's in high school and they're into young adulthood. They don't have any friends who are like, yo, you're in the wrong, man. Don't do that. And so they keep a lot of yes men. A lot of people have yes men as friends. And so they have yes men and yes women as friends as an adult. And so we might be the first reality check, particularly if like they don't have a relationship with their parents. From what I understand, Lindsay's relationship with her parents were, it was very shaky. But you get somebody like Bernie Madoff, nobody was messing with him. at all, and he dealt with one or two other consultant companies beside us, is my understanding anyway. So a lot of time they've lost friends. They're getting ready to go to jail. And like everybody, once you're on your way in, most of your friends are making bail anyway because you can't do anything for them anymore. So they'll eventually find somebody else to leech off of. They listen. They listen for the most part.
So do you guys do you handle or do you help people after their conviction as well, coming out of prison? Like, is prison coaching just something like pre sentencing, or is it something post sentencing as well, or post?
It's post prison because it's post traumatic stress. You went into an environment that you're not used to. You come out and back into a world that you're not used to. And that's why we have Dr. Jennings now as the director of mental health, because he's going to oversee all of those areas from a clinical perspective. Because they come home doesn't mean that a person doesn't need a biosocial assessment done on him or herself. Some people are on medication in prison because the reality is that prison is the new mental institution. They're closing down mental institutions and pretty much sticking those individuals into prison, putting them on meds, and then, shuffling them away. And so Dr. James is spearheading that, man, and hopefully we can lure Radim Ellington in really soon, man, and make him a part of this. Steve and I will be sitting at the round table because we have some really, really big plans moving forward,
Definitely. Hey, so whether it's on the front end or the back end, definitely, the whole prison, the idea of prison coaches, it does work. It definitely does work.
And yeah, it does. It's, I guess it's like I've never been high, so I couldn't tell you. But I hear the 12 steps works if you work it, and it's the same thing with prison coach. But the thing about it is you don't really want to tell anybody that you've seen a prison consultant. That's the misconception. See, a lot of people are quick to say, well, who was your client, this and that and the other, but at the same time, you really don't want to come out and say who your clients were unless it's something that's been on TV, maybe their attorney leaked it or something of that nature. So there's a difference. You understand what I'm saying? And so if we say we treated this particular client, this person goes into prison and says, oh, no, I got this, I seen a prison coach. Well, then somebody may be apt to say, well, I want to stab him when he goes to sleep anyway to see if prison coach taught him not to go to sleep at night. I think I'm going to poke a couple of holes in him or her. You know what I'm saying? So it's not anything that you want to turn around and advertise, but it's to help heighten your awareness that the things that you did prior to incarceration simply won't fly in prison.
For sure.
And it's like a lot of things that come back to haunt you. Like, feds are like a slower version of the internet. And this is what I'm trying to young cats with today, right? So you guys could turn around and put your hand on somebody if you want to. Don't think that you're going to lay down in prison and think that eventually somebody's not going to find out. Somebody is eventually going to find. I don't care if you're in Ohio, in Oklahoma, if you in Lompoc, California. Somebody's going to find out where you're from, what hood you're from, and people from streets can fly a note into prison to somebody they know, and that person will fly a letter here, a letter there, and they'll track you down. And I'm not saying that that's the motive. That should be your motivation for, not putting your hand on a woman. You should never do that anyway. But it's something you don't do because it will catch up to you.
Mhm.
You know, it always does. Prison is just a slow version of the internet. We've seen too many times a guy be around fronting on a compound, and before you know it, he's stabbed up from something that happened when he was on the streets or something that happened in a prison, a different prison 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So the virtue does come back with astounding accuracy. There's no question about that.
Mhm. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. Actually, I had a conversation with another friend of mine who actually did time. I had a conversation with him today, and we were talking about that. You know, how things they get around, they bounce around from one place to another, and until a person got an answer. The checks and balances system is so incredible in the prison system that it's like you got to walk your straight and narrow, and you know you can't really step on toes. And you know whatever attitudes and hang-ups that you had when you was outside, you know all of that changes when you come inside. I've never seen so many polite people in prison. You know what I'm saying? And of course you got the, you know what I'm saying, you got the idiots and you know then the knuckleheads who run around wild and you know whatever comes their way comes their way. But you know for the most part you got dudes in there doing a whole bunch of time, and you know what I'm saying, everybody's in the same place. You share the same woes. You wearing the same color clothes. You know what I'm saying? Nobody got a bigger medallion, and nobody got a car with bigger rims, and nobody got the higher stacks of money. You know, so it's like you get on a child line and you're not saying excuse me to somebody, or you know, or I apologize, or saying you're sorry for stepping on somebody's shoes, or pardon me, or whatever, or tripping over somebody's foot. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely end up getting leaked up. Like you can definitely end up getting stabbed, and it might not happen there. It might happen somewhere else on another day.
That's right. That's right. You know, you could run in Target and let somebody hold the spot for you in cut in line, or over in Walmart or McDonald's and hop in a line. You won't do that in prison. That's not going to happen.
Yes, indeed.
Ain't no question. More than likely they're going to handle that business that night, because if you cut in front of 100 people, you got 100 people coming to see you.
Yep. And you never know which one. Yo, I'm gonna play a song and I'll come back. I gotta ask you a question, anything about this whole prison thing. Anything, all right? Be right back. This is Rihanna, "Numb" by Rihanna. Anything, because this prison thing getting me numb. All right, we'll be right back. Russell Radio, the Romance Prince.
She's running with Chris.
I'll be right back. Prison Coaches.
I'm here and listening to you talk about the transition from prison to back to society, and that is a challenging transition.
Extremely. You walk into a store, you think everybody looking at you.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. What's happening?
I've visited 3 people I know who've gone to prison, federal and state, and observing all 3, no doubt. I saw the adjustment they had to make, especially for the ones who were incarcerated for a longer period of time.
You're right. But the preparation really, it starts on the inside. You know, you have to be accountable to something higher than yourself. You know, I missed a significant portion of my beautiful daughter's life, my son's life, and you know, my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's while I was incarcerated, and during that period of time, you don't realize how many people care about you, and so the motivation has to come from deep down inside. And I've always loved the challenge. If you tell me I can't do something, then I'm going to kill myself trying to do it. And so the challenge really comes from within. If you don't really have a plan before you come home or a strong will, you can be susceptible to anything once you come home. You know, it's important for people maybe to say that they need family support and this and that, but even if you don't have any family to support you, and you come home from prison, and you say, okay, you know what, I'm checking into this homeless shelter. I'm going hard. I'm checking into this homeless shelter. I'm going to get me a job, go to the job, come back to the homeless shelter. Then I'm going to get me a room and stack my dough. Now I can afford an apartment. Now I can, I got the apartment. I'm putting some money to the side. Now I need to get my driver's license. By then, you say, okay, I have my 6 points of ID, especially if you live in Jersey. But then you start making moves. But I think where a lot of brothers go wrong, a lot of people come home, prison is such an environment where guys come home and their mentality is based on getting with a woman or getting with women or getting revenge on individuals who they feel didn't support them during that period of incarceration. And so if you come home and that's your sole motivation, then you're destined to go back. You're destined because you have to let all that go. You have to let all that go. And I know I did, and a lot of my friends who have come home, like, that did 23 years. I look at my man Tommy Mickens, he's home, doing his thing. Sean Hartwell, home, doing his thing. Romeo on the line, doing his thing. My man Rob Griles, home, doing his thing. I mean, these dudes was all in the high double digits. The deck was stacked against them. So you're sitting in there, you're doing time, and then, they're shipping you all over the country. Like, I was telling these young guys, I was in some states, I didn't even know where I was unless the car was driving down the street, and I looked and I seen the license plates. I was like, oh, snap, I'm in Tennessee? I ain't never been to Tennessee before. All of backwards of Kentucky and all of these crazy places, and so you have to wipe all of that out. You because these people are telling you that you're not going to be anything. You're going to be back to prison again. And so you have to make up your mind that you're not going to defeat me. Your words aren't going to defeat me. And, you come home and, you make your mark on the world, and they're still miserable where they are. Nobody ever heard of them but their mother. And so you leave it like that.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. In this day and time, like when we went away, in our time, in our era, in those early 90s, the counterparts were a little different, for lack of a better word. Like your mates was a little different. You ran into women, and sometimes they stuck, sometimes they didn't. But back then, a woman would stick by you throughout your whole bid. And you got 10 years, you got 15 years. You see, all right, they're going to do their thing. So what? But at the end of the day, she was there for you. She supported you throughout your whole bid or whatever like that. Do you think that women actually stick by guys nowadays?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on what kind of cloth they're cut from. I think the relationships that work best between men and women are women who honestly may not want anything from the man when he comes home, and a man who may only want support and being realistic with that particular relationship. I think that works best. I mean, I had female friends that was, they was cool. I wasn't running around asking nobody for money, that wasn't my thing. I was never taking money from women. That just wasn't my get down. But there's still some women, ride, man. I mean, really ride with guys. I don't want to name no names, but a lot of good women, but these women are grounded women, not the women that's, club hopping and doing this and that and the other, because if you run into a club, then, you're looking for something, but women who are content with their careers, women who are content with the relationships they may have with any male in their life, and if that male isn't interfering with the relationship with the guy in prison, then I think that a woman will still ride by her man. But if that guy who she's dealing with objects to that relationship, then her loyalty is to the man on the outside. And then the relationship with the man on the inside, it becomes a sneaky or backdoor type of relationship. But those relationships nonetheless prove to stand the test of time. But women by nature are just more loyal. Well, they were more loyal to men back then. It's just not the same now. It's a microwave TV generation society. So, you know, a woman ain't waiting on a man no longer than she's waiting on microwave popcorn. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so with that said, and I ask that because do you think that the same way that there's the service that prison coaches provide for the person who's incarcerated, don't you think that there's a service to be provided for the people who stood by their side? Like there might be some therapy, there might be a service and anything to provide for them so that they can learn how to get through it as well.
Oh, no, I mean, that's all part of it. You know, anytime we sit down, we do a consultation with an individual, we try to do the preparation with the whole family because the whole family needs to understand their role and reasonable expectations while this individual is incarcerated. And so, yeah, well, we take calls. That's not a problem. Yeah, we take calls from family members. That happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. I think that would definitely be that would definitely be a huge part of the back end of things, like the post incarceration part, because I think that I feel that a lot of people on the outside who stood by people's side or who maybe just came along, they might not understand a guy or a female who was in prison who for a while and came home and has to make that readjustment. And so I think that the same energy that goes into, you know, that incarcerated person and everything, that if maybe equal or maybe a teeny bit less, needs to go into the person or the people who stood by their side and supported them or who supports them once they're home as well. I think it's a twofold therapy session.
It is, but I mean, I would say more men than women like a woman could ride or die with a man. I think it's in a woman's nature, most women, to like honestly ride with their man. Mm-hmm. But the average man just don't appreciate it, man. He doesn't on the outside. And so when you're sitting on the inside, you know you're only as good as the option in front of you. And so if that woman is the only option that's coming to visit you, when you get home, there are so many other options out there, especially if your relationship is built on the physical. There's nothing spiritual tied to you. There's nothing strong from an emotional standpoint. And, you know how it is, bro. A guy is only, for the most part, going to love you long enough or love you hard enough to keep you in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a guy will write all kinds of letters. He come home, man. He ain't writing goodbye on a card. You know how it is, man. I mean, look, man, come on, man. Let's not kid ourselves, man. The average cat comes home. He's just not going to settle down. Mm-hmm. Some of them will. Some of them won't. Most of them won't.
Mm-hmm. But why do you think that's so? Why do you think that's so? And they think that a guy, he comes home and he doesn't settle down. Is it because you think that every woman, she's in the club, or is it that he think that, you know, the women on the streets that got shanks just like every inmate that he was doing time with? What is it?
I think that most men, you know, come home and they have a low self-esteem. You know, okay. I think that a guy will, you know, come home from prison and his woman is like cooking for him, taking care of him, buying him clothes, this and that and the other. And then he goes, you know, he goes to work. He's on his way home from work, and there's a chick, and she's looking good. You know, she got the weave in. The weave is pumping, flapping. She got the apple-bottom jeans on, the whole 9 yards, and she smiled at him. You know, his weight is up, got the fresh cut, and, you know, he has an overwhelming need because he's not used to that type of attention. Mm-hmm. And so it comes new. It's not what he might deem as the same old attention that he's been getting from the woman who rode with him or the woman who chose. But once you feel good about yourself, there's no need to look for another person. But the average cat just doesn't feel good enough. And when you look at the music that they're listening to, it's not promoting celibacy. It's not promoting being faithful to a woman. And so the deck, again, becomes stacked against you. Plus, women today, for the most part, they're more open sexually at a younger age. It's nothing. A woman can lie with a dude, and in 2 weeks, in a month, the same night, sex is jumping off. And so, how can you blame a man who's not a spiritual man for taking advantage of that? And woman seeks its own level. So if the woman ain't worth a dime, the man ain't going to be worth a dime. There ain't no motivation in being worth a quarter if your woman's worth a dime. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but that's just my opinion, man.
I think prison coaches got your work cut out for you. You got to.
I ain't got no. Let me tell you something, man. There's 2 things in this world you're not going to see, big brother. Me with my work cut out for me and a UFO. I'm telling you that right now. I ain't going to be overburdened with nothing or nobody.
It's just, it just. I think that for you guys, for prison coaches and anything, it's definitely you guys attacking a situation from many different points that's necessary. That's definitely necessary, and it starts with the person who's going to do the time, and it ends with them after they do the time, and and their family members and the people supporting them, or and even like not even just on a family structural level, but also on like you said, that spiritual level. You know what I mean? That's why I say there's a lot of work to do, but it's necessary work to provide people and citizens back to a community, where they can actually be helpful at,
Yeah, well, I mean, at the same time, you don't want to take on so many clients that it becomes a disservice to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can only, I'm not trying to save the world. I'm not trying to save the world, man. This world is an quagmire. This world is demonic. It's sinking. It's filthy. I mean, I'm doing what I need to do because I enjoy doing what I'm doing, but I'm not going to run around trying to save the world. That I'm not doing.
So who do you choose? So who do you choose? Is it the dollar that you? Is it the person with the who can pay, or is it and is the person who can pay? Are they always the best people to choose?
The motivation is always going to be the money. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. The person who makes a stamp, he ain't in it because he's happy somebody's going to see that stamp on the envelope when it reaches to the other person. He's in it for the money. You know what I'm saying? Of course you want the money, but, we've never had a problem refunding a client. So, if they don't want to cooperate, if they don't want to work the program, then, we have better things to do and other clients to see and other goals to achieve. Mm-hmm. Steve is over there in New York. I'm down in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Dr. Jennings is in Philadelphia. And so, we have lives, man. I'm trying to, first and foremost, stay spiritually grounded. And then I work everything around that. So I'm not going to get thrown off, quote unquote, my square chasing money.
Mm-hmm. I hear you for sure. All right. Real quick, last question, Nate, I want to ask you. Let me just ask you this: how can people find prison coaches? The prison coaches. You got a website? You got Twitter? You got Facebook?
Yep, all at prisoncoach.com. Think of a football coach, but prison coach, if you could spell prison, PRISON for those who can't, .com. On Facebook, the Facebook page is The Prison Coaches. And on Twitter, it's Prison Coach 247, because we do this 24/7.
There you go. Real quick, last question I'm going to ask you. Doc, man, young kid, young rapper out of Chicago, Chief Keef. You heard of him?
No, only his mother has. What's up with him?
Yeah, man, yeah. his mother. This kid is kind of off the hook. He said nobody can talk to him. He's looking at some time.
Who said nobody can talk to him?
I mean, he's out there. He's all the way out there. He said he don't look up to nobody. 18 years old, rapper. You know what I'm saying? Got signed. They gave him a nice little check or whatever. He's off the hook. He got a whole bunch of little goonies running around with him up in Chicago. They're responsible for a lot of trouble and crime up in Chicago, but he's looking at some time right now. What would you tell a little kid, like a young kid, 18 years old, like that in such a situation?
Keep doing what you're doing. Somebody's waiting who you are going to look up to. Just keep it up. Keep it up. Yeah. No, I mean, the biggest guy in the world, he gets it when he goes in. You know that.
Yeah.
The young guy, I guarantee you he won't come out the same. He won't come out the same. I think that people was trying Mike Tyson when he went. Mike went in shape and people were trying him.
Yeah, sure.
When they had Mike out there in Indiana, I used to like Mike. When they had Mike out there on Moon Road, man, in Indiana, dudes was trying him. Mike was running people down, but you go in there on some Murder One, they will show you what Murder One is about. I go ahead.
For sure.
The person who you're going to want to talk to, you're going to have a chance to talk to him in a minute.
Yeah, hell, you calling it out. You calling good money. I will be the first to say so. I've seen the biggest ones fall. I've seen the loudest ones get quiet.
I mean, his name, so I can follow him on the internet where somebody pops him upside his head.
Yeah, check him out.
Chief who?
Chief Keef. K-E-E-F. Type it in. Chief Keef. K-E-E-F.
That name sounds stupid. That young guy just get it out in Vegas? Didn't they just feel like an inspiring rapper out in Vegas?
Yeah, they definitely did.
Biggie got it. Tupac got it.
Yeah.
Big L got it. Chief Keef or whatever, Sweep the Street, whatever his name is, he won't get it too.
Yeah. I mean, it happens and everything, but you can't tell these young nothing and everything. I just hope that the young ones that you spoke to today, you were able to get through to them because you got a lot of these, a lot of the young ones coming up, under the tutelage of of stupidity, and they don't really know what they don't know what awaits them around these corners, man. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if they even care about what's around the corner, or if they even want to make it around the corner. But I wish the kid well and everything, anyway. And it's just what it is.
Yeah. I hope somebody. No, I take that back. I can't say this even on internet radio. I wish whoever his name is, I'm not into to pronouncing tongue twister names or whatever it is. He won't come out the same, man. I can guarantee you that. Even my man Larry Davis got it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Man had the whole New York City a shootout. Went on the run.
Yeah.
Well,
I can tell you this much. You want to minimize any troubles that you might face. Then I think that everybody and their mother needing, whether the family member, whether it's a person who's going to be incarcerated, I think you all should reach out to www.prisoncoaches.com. And you know what I'm saying, get on board with that. All right, AJ Doc, yo man, I appreciate you hollering at us, giving us the business on Prison Coaches. Come back and join us anytime. Anything, yo man, you want to say something before you go?
Yeah, I got this to say. This is how it should be done. My style is identical to none.
That lets you know he old school.